What's the most important dungeon master skill that you can develop? It might be argued that they need world building or rules mastery, maybe even improv acting or accents and character voices. Before you start bashing the theater kids, let me say I love all of those. I think voices and accents are fun, but they're not essential. You can have great games without them. I, on the other hand, use them extensively. Being a general contractor of world building can be great, but I can argue that you really only need a Keep on the Borderlands and a Caves of Chaos. Improv acting can be beneficial because the players can throw a lot of curveballs at you. It's a great boon, but it's not necessarily needed. And then there's rules mastery. Yeah, of course, it is a great boon, but is it needed? I've seen brand new DMs do an amazing job at being a DM by only knowing a to-hit number and when to roll initiative. I don't think it's any of those. The greatest skill that I think a DM needs, recognize a spark and then follow it. And old school Dungeons and Dragons taught us how to do it, but in the subtext. There's an old debate that's still going strong today. One says that rules don't matter, just tell a good story. The other says procedures matter, follow the rules and trust the system. And I think that both arguments are partially correct. Because procedures are not the adventure. Procedures create the condition where story and adventure happens. So we have the following: wandering monsters, reaction rolls, morale checks, dungeon turns, random encounters. These systems generate uncertainty. They create situations that nobody planned, including the dungeon master. And that's important because surprise is where creativity lives. It's often argued that most of these random encounters don't need to be random if a dungeon master rolls those before a session starts. And that's fine if you want to do that. It's a legitimate practice. However, there is a magic when you are discovering what's happening at the game table. Call me superstitious, call me crazy, call me pagan, because, well, I am. But after decades of sitting behind the DM screen, I've noticed that the people actually assembled somehow affect the dice rolls. I've experienced it way too many times. So if you're following procedures, you roll some dice, right? If you're playing BXD&D or OSE, you roll a D6 on a 1, an encounter happens. Roll on the random monsters and maybe you get some goblins. There's 2d6 of them, you roll 2d6 and you have 6 goblins. The inexperienced DM looks up at the players and says, 6 goblins attack. Roll initiative. You fight and then move on. I think this right here encapsulates what the argument is, and a right one, that random encounters kind of suck. It ends up being a slog and the PCs are placed into danger for no apparent reason. The great DM adds one more key element: their brain. Before they say, goblins appear, they ask these questions quietly to themselves. Why are they here? What are they doing? Where are they going? What do they want? What are they afraid of? And once you practice this only takes just a second to ask these questions. Suddenly, they're carrying a wounded goblin. They're fleeing something deeper in the dungeon. They stole something. They are lost. They're negotiating with another faction. Now, this simple random encounter actually has context. It has weight. Not because the game table generated the story, but because the table generated a question and then the story unfolded. Sometimes even I can get stumped on a question, but when it's there, it's gold. But when it's not there, I've leaned on Dungeon Masterpiece's random encounter tables that he talked about in the video. I'll link it up here. I've used these in my own pre-published adventures, The Dance of the Leprechaun, and also The Dream Eater. There's 3 sections: the encounter, the behavior, and the complication. You're not just reading across, you're reading the first column, rolling again, second column, rolling again, third column. And you get some wild and wacky things going on, which is awesome. In BXD&D, dungeon procedures create situations. A great dungeon master will create meaning from those situations. So here's where the rubber meets the road. Something unexpected happens which you should not shy away from. It's at that point, right there in that moment, that's where creativity lives. A random NPC encounter now becomes important. Suddenly, your imagination starts firing when you're presented with these random things. You get excited. The players become excited. Everyone leans forward, and that is the spark. When that happens, follow it. Now, here's the mistake that many novice DMs will fall into. They want to make absolutely every single encounter special. And we know that if everything is special, then absolutely nothing is. Then we have every NPC has a tragic backstory. Every dungeon room has exhaustive backstory lore. Every goblin has a monologue instead of just saying, "Bree Yark!" In that moment, the game can become quite exhausting. I would say 50 to 60% of any encounters should just be encounters, and probably winnable. A lot of rooms should just be rooms. A kitchen is a kitchen. The barracks are the barracks. Most goblins should just be goblins, until of course they become the party mascot. Look for the spark, but if it's not there, move on. It's okay. The spark will come. Let's get practical. When something unexpected happens, ask this. What's the most interesting explanation? Not the craziest, not the funniest, but what's the most interesting? Then again, it could be crazy or funny. Don't throw anything out. The spark can be anything. But what we want by default is what is interesting? What does it imply? If the goblins are fleeing, then what are they fleeing from? If the village is abandoned or a ghost town, why? If a corpse has fresh wounds, who made them? The question is about going one step further. Not 10, just one. Then allow the answers to those prompts that are in your head come out on the table. A dungeon master uses procedures like a musician uses scales. The scales are important. The scales create structure. But people don't listen to music or go to see a band live because of scales. They're going because of music, because something has moved them. So procedures give structure. Your in-the-moment inspiration gives the game life. Old school D&D gave us random encounters, reaction rolls, morale checks, dungeon turns, and more. They are the musician's scales, but they were never meant to replace creativity. They were meant to poke it, to provoke it, to prod it. The wandering monster table is not the adventure. The reaction roll isn't the adventure. The morale check is not the adventure. They are sparks. And the great dungeon masters, they recognize when those sparks catch fire. Random tables don't create great adventures. They create sparks. Great dungeon masters know when to throw fuel on the fire. I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters for making this video possible. Without you, none of this happens, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Sign up for the Sawwen newsletter. It's my homebrew campaign setting that's a little slice of Halloween. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by Agranak Studios today, and we'll see you on the next one. Later!